Most gardens have visitors that arrive without invitation. Some come searching for food, some come looking for shelter. Others appear so quietly that an entire season can pass before anyone notices they were ever there. Among all of these silent visitors, there is one that almost seems to belong to another age. It stands perfectly still for minutes at a time. The breeze moves the leaves around it, but it barely moves at all. Its colors blend so naturally with stems and branches that even careful gardeners can overlook it from only a few feet away. Then, without warning, everything changes. One quick movement, one perfect strike. In less time than it takes to blink, another insect disappears. For countless generations, people have looked at the praying mantis with a mixture of fascination and uncertainty. Some admire it. Others are unsettled by its strange posture and the way it slowly turns its head as though it were studying the world around it. Many gardeners still believe it is just another insect that happened to wander into the yard. Some even move it somewhere else, thinking they are protecting their flowers or vegetables. But what if removing a praying mantis is one of the biggest mistakes you could make for the health of your garden? What if this quiet hunter is doing far more than simply searching for its next meal? Today, we are going to explore the hidden role of the praying mantis and why experienced gardeners often consider it one of the most valuable creatures nature can provide. Because once you understand what it is truly doing among your plants, you may never look at this remarkable insect the same way again. Let us begin with something most people never see: the hunt. Unlike insects that chase their prey across leaves or through the air, the praying mantis relies on patience. It does not waste energy searching every corner of the garden. Instead, it chooses a place with care: a flowering stem, the edge of a tomato plant, the branch of a young fruit tree. Then it waits. This waiting is not laziness. It is strategy. Every movement around the mantis is carefully observed. Tiny flies, leafhoppers, young grasshoppers, moths landing for only a moment. Even insects hidden beneath leaves are sometimes detected through the slightest vibration or movement. Scientists have discovered that the praying mantis has remarkable depth perception compared with many other insects. It judges distance with surprising accuracy, allowing it to strike only when success is almost certain. That precision is one reason it wastes very little energy. Every successful hunt means fewer harmful insects feeding on your vegetables, flowers, and herbs. And unlike chemical sprays, the mantis never covers your garden with unwanted residue. It hunts only what it can catch. It leaves your soil untouched. It leaves your water clean. It allows the rest of your garden to continue living in balance. That alone would make it an extraordinary ally. But the real story is only beginning. Many gardeners believe that all insects should be treated the same. If something crawls across a leaf, it must be dangerous. If something has wings, it must be damaging the plants. Nature, however, rarely works in such simple ways. The praying mantis is not interested in destroying your garden. It is interested in protecting its own territory. And as it defends that territory, your plants often become the greatest beneficiaries. Think about the insects that create the most frustration every growing season. Aphids gathering beneath tender leaves, young caterpillars chewing holes through vegetables, small beetles feeding on flowers before they ever bloom, grasshoppers stripping away fresh green growth. These pests reproduce quickly. Left alone, they can overwhelm an entire garden in only a few weeks. A praying mantis cannot eliminate every pest by itself. No natural predator can. But that has never been nature's goal. Nature depends on balance rather than complete elimination. The presence of predators forces pest populations to remain under constant pressure. Every insect feeding on your plants must also avoid becoming someone else's meal. This invisible pressure changes the entire ecosystem. Some pests spend less time feeding because they are busy avoiding danger. Others never survive long enough to reproduce. Over time, healthy predator populations reduce the explosive outbreaks that often force gardeners to reach for pesticides. This is one reason experienced gardeners often encourage biodiversity, instead of trying to remove every insect they see. A balanced garden is usually a healthier garden. There is another fascinating detail that many people overlook. The praying mantis is incredibly selective about where it chooses to remain. It prefers places rich with life, gardens filled with flowering plants, gardens visited by pollinators, gardens with shrubs, tall grasses, and natural hiding places. In other words, The presence of a praying mantis can sometimes be a quiet sign that your garden already supports a thriving ecosystem. It has found enough food, enough shelter, enough safety to call your garden home. That is not something chemical products can create overnight. It is something that develops through patience, careful planting, and respect for the natural relationships between living things. But there is another reason gardeners should think twice before disturbing a praying mantis, and it has nothing to do with the adult insect itself. It begins long before spring arrives. Sometime in late summer or autumn, the female praying mantis searches for a safe place to leave the next generation behind. She may choose a dry stem, a thin branch, a wooden fence post, the side of a shed, or a sheltered place hidden among shrubs and tall grasses. There she creates a hardened egg case called an ootheca. At first it is soft and foamy. Then it dries into a protective capsule that can survive cold, wind rain, and long winter nights. Inside that small case there may be dozens or even hundreds of eggs. To many gardeners it looks like an odd lump of dried foam. Something dead. Something messy. Something that should be scraped away during winter cleanup. But that small structure may be one of the most important things in the entire garden. It is not debris. It is the future. If you remove it, you are not just removing one insect. You may be removing the next generation of natural pest control before it ever has a chance to begin. When warm weather returns, tiny mantises emerge from the case already shaped like miniature hunters. They do not need to be taught how to wait. They do not need to learn what prey is. From the first moments of life, they are part of the garden's balance. This is why overly tidy gardens often become vulnerable gardens. When every dry stem is cut down, when every fallen leaf is cleared away, when every corner is made bare and empty, many helpful creatures lose the places they need to survive winter. A garden that looks perfectly clean to us can look completely unlivable to them. And this is where the real reason becomes clear. You should never remove a praying mantis from your garden, because it is not only a single predator, it is a sign of a living system. A system where prey and predator keep one another in balance. A system where shelter matters as much as sunlight. A system where life continues even in the quiet months when the garden appears to be sleeping. The mantis reminds us that gardening is not only about controlling nature, it is about cooperating with it. But there is one more part of this story that changes how we see this insect even further. The praying mantis does not behave like a simple machine. Anyone who has watched one closely knows this. It seems to notice. It seems to decide. It turns slowly toward movement. It pauses before acting. It sometimes retreats, sometimes advances, sometimes remains still for so long that it almost becomes part of the plant itself. Researchers studying animal behavior have found that insects can show differences in boldness, caution, aggression, and response to risk. The praying mantis is especially striking because its behavior is so visible to human eyes. One individual may strike quickly at almost anything that moves. Another may wait longer, choosing only the safest opportunities. One may remain exposed on a bright leaf. Another may hide deep inside the stems. These differences do not mean the mantis thinks the way humans do, but they do remind us that even very small creatures can have complex ways of interacting with the world. When you remove a praying mantis, you are not moving an object. You are disrupting a living hunter that has already chosen its place. It has selected a perch. It has learned the movement of that small territory. It has begun to work within the rhythm of your garden. And if it is a female in the right season, it may be preparing to leave behind hundreds of future hunters. That is why the best thing you can do when you find one is often the simplest thing. Do nothing. Observe it. Give it space. Let it remain where it has chosen to be. Because in a healthy garden, sometimes the most powerful action is restraint. So how do you make your garden a place where praying mantises want to stay? The answer is not complicated. In fact, it begins with what you stop doing. Stop treating every insect as an enemy. A garden without insects is not a healthy garden. It is an empty garden. Your plants need pollinators. Your soil needs decomposers. Your ecosystem needs predators. When broad pesticides are sprayed across a garden, they do not only kill the insects eating your plants, they can also kill the insects protecting them. Aphids may return quickly. Caterpillars may hatch again. But if the predators have been removed, the garden becomes more vulnerable than before. The praying mantis cannot stay in a place where there is nothing safe to eat and nowhere safe to hide. So if you want natural pest control, begin by protecting the natural hunters. Leave some structure in the garden. Not every stem needs to be cut at the end of the season. Not every patch of grass needs to be trimmed low. Not every corner needs to look perfect. Tall stems provide hunting posts. Shrubs provide cover. Native flowers attract insects which become part of the food web. A small, messy edge can become a refuge for life. This does not mean abandoning your garden. It means allowing it to breathe. A living garden has layers: low plants, tall plants, flowers, stems, leaves, shade, sun, hidden places, open places. The more variety you create, the more likely a praying mantis is to find what it needs. And if you ever see an egg case in winter, resist the urge to clean it away. Leave it attached. Leave the stem standing. Let spring decide what happens next, because the garden is not silent in winter. It is waiting, beneath bark, inside stems, under leaves, within small hidden cases that most people never notice. Life is preparing its return, and sometimes that return begins with a tiny mantis stepping into the light for the first time. The real reason you should never remove a praying mantis from your garden is not only because it eats pests. That is true, and it matters. But the deeper reason is that the mantis represents a garden that has begun to defend itself. It means your outdoor space has become more than soil and plants. It has become habitat. It has become a place where relationships form, where hunters and prey shape one another, where balance is built quietly day after day. No spray bottle can create that. No product on a shelf can replace it. The praying mantis is ancient patient and perfectly adapted to the quiet work of survival. It asks nothing from you except the chance to remain. The next time you see one standing motionless on a leaf, do not rush to move it. Look closer. Watch how it holds itself. Watch how it follows the smallest movement. Watch how something so still can seem so completely aware of the world around it. You may be looking at one of the oldest guardians your garden will ever know, and it may already be protecting more than you realize. Have you ever found a praying mantis in your garden, or discovered one of its egg cases during winter? Share your story in the comments below. I read every one. And if you want to discover another quiet garden protector that most people overlook completely, one that works after sunset while the rest of the garden sleeps, the next video is one you will not want to miss.